Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? My name is Tuck and welcome to the channel. And today we're talking about the best possible trading scenarios for Jadeveon Clowney. But before we get into the topic, I want to go ahead and remind you guys to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and go ahead and hit that notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button so you can be up to date with all of my uploads, alright? But enough of all of that, man. Let's go ahead and get into the topic. Now, Jadeveon Clowney. We know that he's been in a holdout situation for quite some time, and it doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. And now there's rumors going around that the Houston Texans are shopping around different teams to try to see if they can work a trade out for Jadeveon Clowney. Now, before any of this can happen, Jadeveon Clowney is going to have to sign his $16 million tender that the Texans have offered him. But for him to sign the tender, obviously he would have to, or the Texans would have to agree to trade him to the team of his choosing, or else he's just going to hold out. And that doesn't seem like a good idea for either parties. And one more detail that needs to be noted is that even if Clowney does get traded to the team of his choosing, they can't even negotiate a long-term contract until after this upcoming season is over. So there's multiple moving parts to this whole scenario, but I'm just going to talk about what's the best fit for him as a player and, just winning a championship. Now, we have heard that there's speculations that there's about 5 teams that the Texans are talking to about possibly getting a trade done. That's the Seattle Seahawks, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Redskins, the Dolphins, and what was the other team? And the Jets. The last team was the Jets. So I'm gonna go ahead and scratch the Dolphins and the Redskins. I just don't think it's possible given the Redskins situation. I don't think they're in a position to really give Clowney what he wants. On top of that, I don't even think Clowney wants to be there. There's not a good chance of him winning anything there. The Dolphins, same scenario. I mean, they don't really have a team. They have a young quarterback. Well, they have Fitzpatrick starting, and they have Josh Rosen as the backup. We'll see how that situation goes. But other than that, they don't have any real bright spots that's going to show that they're going to be a potential playoff contender. And we pretty much heard Jadeveon Clowney say that he doesn't want to play for the Dolphins anyway. So that's pretty much a dud right there. So we're going to knock out those 2 teams. We're just going to talk about the Jets, what was the other team? The Eagles and the Seahawks. Now, these are 3 solid defensive teams, and I think, low-key, all of these teams will be a pretty decent fit, but there's kind of different variables to each team. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Seahawks. Now, when I look at the depth chart for the Seahawks, I see Ezekiel Ansah, Poona Ford, Al Woods. I don't really know too much about them. I haven't heard their names too much. And then Quentin Jefferson, which I know is a pretty good defensive end. Now, that would be a pretty nice rotation to complement weak side linebacker Michael Kendricks. Well, Michael Kendricks, who knows? Because I believe he's getting suspended for that thing that he got caught doing. He was like doing some scamming. I don't know what he was doing. He was scamming people for money, something along those lines. But he's going to be out a good portion of the season. Bobby Wagner, probably the best middle linebacker in the game next to Kuechly. KJ Wright, also a really, really good linebacker. And then they also have Shaquem Griffin, who's pretty good. I think he's got a lot of speed. And he'll be taking that weak side linebacker spot while Michael Kendricks handles his business. But I think he can come into his own. But to have that rotation, that front 7, along with Jadeveon Clowney, Now the only thing that's kind of weird about it is the Seahawks run a 4-3. In Houston, they run a 3-4 defense. So there's going to be a grace period or like a adjustment period for him if he does go there. And don't quote me, but I believe Jadeveon Clowney has been in a 3-4 defense his entire career. I think going back to college. I don't know about high school, but I believe when he was in University of South Carolina, I believe they were running a 3-4 as well. So that's definitely going to be an adjustment period going from different schemes. As far as their secondary, I mean, Shaquille Griffin is okay. They don't really have too much they don't have really too much potential in their secondary. Trey Flowers, okay. Bradley McDougall, Chedrick Thompson, I mean, but if you have a solid pass rush, you don't really need the best corners. You're gonna need some type of cornerback play. But if you have Michael Kendricks, Bobby Wagner flying off that edge, you got Jadeveon Clowney flying off that edge, putting pressure on the quarterback. It's gonna take a lot of load off of that secondary. So I think that's a pretty good fit for him. Also, the fact that Seahawks are a winning team. They made the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years. So that also is some eye candy for him. So overall, that's a pretty decent fit, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and move on to the next team. Let's talk about the Jets. The Jets. Now, the Jets run 3-4 defense just like the Texans do, so it'll be a more seamless fit for him as far as the scheme-wise. So that'll be a plus for him. Now, when I look at the roster, the defensive roster, base 3-4 defense, I see left defensive end, Leonard Williams, nose tackle, Quinnen Williams, the rookie. Now, we already know Leonard Williams is kind of a pretty proven player. He's an expert at getting to the quarterback. Quinnen Williams was a top 10, I believe, draft pick. Maybe even top 5 for the Jets. Yeah, top 5. They had a top 5 pick. So he has a lot of potential. At that nose tackle spot. And then imagine throwing Jadeveon Clowney on the right side. Wow, that's mean. And then you got your Mike linebacker C.J. Mosley. Woo. That's actually a pretty nice combination. Now the secondary is a little rocky. It kind of looks good on paper. Jamal Adams, Marcus May, I like those safeties. Tremaine Johnson, I believe he's going through some injury stuff, and I believe the Jets actually traded for a cornerback not too long ago. So I think they're gonna need some cornerback help. I don't think their scheme that they're running, I don't think it's gonna be able to, like, even if you threw what's his name, Jadeveon Clowney into that mix, I think they're still going to have some troubles on the outside. And on top of that, they're a pretty unproven team. Looking back at their playoff history, they haven't made the playoffs since 2010, well, I'm actually looking at it, and I remember, 2010, they beat the Colts, they beat the Patriots, and then they almost beat the Steelers to get to go to the Super Bowl. 2010. That was 9 years ago. The Jets, Mark Sanchez did that. Anyways, I don't want to get on that topic. But they're an unproven team. Jadeveon Clowney probably doesn't want to go there and sign long-term. I mean, maybe you could sign long-term because they do have a lot of promise with a young quarterback, a fairly young running back that's still pretty fresh and still, I think, is going to be one of the top running backs this year, Le'Veon Bell. The wide receiver core is kind of shoddy, but as far as a team, like a franchise, they're in the right direction. They're just gonna need like some wide receivers. They're gonna need some cornerback help, maybe a couple more linebackers. But I don't think Jadeveon Clowney wants to sign long term and just be part of a trust the process type of thing. I think he wants to win now, and that's why I think this probably won't happen. Probably not the best fit for him right now. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the last team on this list, the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is probably my favorite scenario for him. Let's start off with the defense. I mean, they're running the base 4-3. I mean, same situation as the Seahawks. He's going to probably have to make little adjustments here and there to get into that system. But when we look at that front four, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, and then you throw Jadeveon Clowney on that right side. You have Vinny Curry as a rotation guy, Derek Barnett as a rotation guy. That's probably that could be the best front seven or best front four in football. Not to mention those linebackers. Now, I don't like Nigel Bradham, Zach Brown, and Kamu Grugier-Hill. I don't like them individually, but I do like them as a unit. Being, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. I think Zach Brown is kind of more new, but I know Nigel Bradham and Grugier-Hill, they were a part of that Super Bowl team, and they have that cohesiveness that comes with that, that championship pedigree or whatnot. And they have that cohesiveness and that togetherness that they had, and it's just like the experience of winning the Super Bowl together. I think that brings them together. And I've already known Zach Brown. I'm not sure if he was part of the Super Bowl team. I don't think he was, but either way, Zach Brown has still been a pretty solid linebacker in his career. So I like that linebacking core. The secondary, their safeties are great. I love Malcolm Jacobs. Rodney McLeod is solid free safety. The cornerbacks, Ronald Darby has a tendency to get burnt, but I think he can still be a pretty good cornerback if he can stay off injury. Maddox, I haven't seen too much from him, but yeah, their secondary is probably the best secondary out of the three teams that I'm talking about. So given that, I think this would be the destination for him. I don't know cap space or whatnot, but just looking at it as a team basis, I think this would be the best scenario for him to jump into. On top of that, the team has been to the Super Bowl. The team has been to the playoffs the past 2 years. They've been to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so they have that mentality. They know how to win. So, and that's ultimately, when you're a player like Jadeveon Clowney of that stature, that's what you want. You want to win. So, you know, a lot of players will take a 15-20% better chance of winning the championship over like receiving a max contract. And I don't blame them. If I was a player, I'd be wanting to win too. You know, money's cool, but, you know, if you love the sport, that's, you know, the goal is always to win a Super Bowl. So that is my premier destination for Jadeveon Clowney, the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments section below. Make sure y'all like, comment. Well, I just told y'all to comment twice. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that. And look out for my next upcoming videos. Appreciate y'all for listening. And until next time, my name is Tuck. I'm out of here. Deuces.